Hi there, welcome back to the channel. This is Mama's Mite. My name is Laura. I'm so glad you're here today. And like the title of the video says, I would love to tell you this story about the day that a certain 55-year-old woman whom I know very, very well adopted a puppy and then went into full-blown menopause the exact same day. And it's a true story because that's what happened to me. Let me tell you this story. There was a day when my good friends Mandy and Raina reached out to me and they sent me a picture of the three cutest little puppies I ever did see. And they asked me, hey, would you be interested in adopting one of these puppies? And of course, I saw them and I said yes. But before I did, I took some time to really think, wait, do I have what it takes to adopt a little puppy? Because I thought it's going to be a lot of work. I also went downstairs and I talked to my husband. I talked to my mom, who had started to live with us just 2 weeks before that. And I asked them, what do you think, guys? I would love to adopt one of these puppies. And I think I sounded like a kid because I started saying, I want to consider what you guys think, but I will feed it and I will take care of it and I will brush its hair and I'll clean up its messes. And they said, yes, yes, go ahead. We're all in agreement. Go ahead and get the puppy. And after going back and forth a little bit, I said yes. Yes, yes, yes. They had asked me, is there one of the three that you really want to have? And I told them, yes, this one. And then Raina said, okay, she's yours. And I was over the moon. I was so happy. I couldn't wait to meet my little puppy, and she spent the night at Mandy's house that night, and I went to go pick her up in the morning, and it was just a joyous, joyous occasion. And in my mind, I had come up with the name Luna, and then Mandy's little girl, her daughter, had come up, her little Grayson had come up with the name Sunny Rose. And I thought, this is perfect. Her name is Luna Sunny Rose, and I absolutely loved it. And as I was leaving Mandy's house that morning, she kind of chuckled and said, huh, isn't that funny? Menopausal lady adopts a puppy. And I laughed along with her, but now I know that she really knew the extent of how funny that was. I thought I had an idea. But boy, she really, really knew what was up ahead for me. And but she was thrilled for me, her and Raina. And so shout out to those two ladies. They blessed me so much. They went that extra mile so I could adopt Luna. And then that's when all the fun began. The day I went to pick up Luna from Mandy's house was March 14th. And wouldn't you know it, that is the day I had circled on my calendar because I had been waiting in anticipation to get to that day. It was the official day that I would be in menopause. It was the 12-month marker. And so officially I was in menopause, and I thought, wow, isn't that something? The very day that I hit this mile marker is when I adopted this little puppy. Well, the road got bumpy really fast. All of a sudden there were new hurdles, and my family and I had to figure out how we were going to find our new normal with all of the changes that came with having this little puppy. And so individually and collectively, we all started feeling the impact, of all of these changes. And I'm going to tell you what the biggest challenges were for us. I'm going to start off with the second most challenging thing that we had to deal with, and that was crate training. Crate training is teaching a dog or a puppy to sleep on their own in a dog crate. And I will tell you, when we first got the puppy for that first like week, I was in heaven because I was sleeping with little Luna. Me and her were sleeping in the sofa bed, and I was happy. But I was thinking, oh boy, we cannot continue this. My husband was like, how long are you gonna be in the sofa bed? He was so patient. But he's like, yeah, this it's not gonna be like this, right? And I'm thinking, my gosh, of course not. Laura, what are you gonna do? And I was talking to Mandy, and she said, Laura, you've got to do the crate training. And it was like, oh yeah, duh. We've got to do the crate training. And she said, give it a week and you'll be in good shape. Well, she was right on, like always. And it took 7 or 8 days of very sleepless and stressful nights, but Luna got the hang of it. After the crate training was a success, I really felt encouraged and thought, you know, we got this. There are going to be some new things we have to learn. There's a learning curve. And so, because we got the crate training out of the way, we can do this. We can do this. However, that feeling of euphoric victory was short lived. And the exhaustion from caring for this little baby doggy really began to set in day after day and week after week. Even though she was sleeping all night, there was a day that started very early, and not that I wasn't used to getting up early, but it had to be pretty much at the same time because I wanted to get her into a set routine that she could count on. And so I'd have to wake up, and the day was, markets on your market set go. And in addition to just the regular stuff that I had, my responsibilities, now that it was taking care of this little one and giving the puppy plenty of attention, and then teaching her potty training, how not to bite so much, and to just be more gentle. Things like getting her shots taken care of, just taking her to get the shots. Oh, that was so rough because I didn't want her to get hurt. Oh boy. Um, and and it was fine. But figuring out of her food and how much she's supposed to eat, and just the regular care. But it was a lot. It was a lot. And so it felt like a heap of new responsibility and so many different things that I had to learn all what felt like was at the same time. And so I started to feel like, Laura, you are an old lady. And what were you thinking adopting a little puppy whose care and taking care of a little one is obviously a young person's game? I really started to second guess myself, and that was manageable, something I could deal with and pick myself up and encourage myself through. But what quickly became the number one most challenging, I guess, variable of adopting Luna is the fear and the worry that she could possibly cause my mom to trip, to fall, to injure herself, coming down the stairs, going up the stairs while she was just walking around the house, or cooking in the kitchen, walking around in the kitchen. because Luna was so little that we would not hear her when all of a sudden she was right at our feet. A few times I accidentally stepped on her. It wasn't too bad, but it was enough to make her give a little whimper, and I felt awful. She was so little, but like I say, we just didn't know sometimes when she was right there. And I had to be careful. And I saw mom being extra careful. And so this really started to cause a lot of stress for me, distress and anguish. And I thought, well, I can get over pretty much everything that has to do with taking care of her, taking her on, adopting her into our family. But can I really ask my mom, who just came to live with us, to have to deal with the fear, the stress of possibly falling or tripping because of this little dog? And so that went on for weeks, just having to think about it, ponder what is the best thing. There was some tension that we all felt as we were really trying to navigate the whole situation. What was best? What was best for everyone involved? What was realistic? What was the right thing to do? And for myself, I was wrestling. And up to that point, I had not really felt like Luna is my dog. She's mine. She belongs to me. I just had kind of kept her at arm's length, even though I knew how I felt about her. But I knew that there was a decision brewing, which was, are we going to keep her, or are we going to have to give her up and rehome her so that mom doesn't get hurt? I could feel that was brewing, and that reality of having to make that decision just got bigger and bigger and bigger in on the forefront of all of our minds. And those were some really dark weeks. It probably was a good 3 weeks when it was the hardest, the darkest, because my heart was so heavy. I did not want for my mom to incur any kind of injury or damage to herself, any kind of woe or suffering or sorrow because of this cute little puppy. And I also did not want Luna to be hurt. The thought of her going to live somewhere and wouldn't know where she was, who was taking care of her, were they taking care of her? I mean, it was awful. It was awful. I did pray at this time, and I was asking God, Lord, help me, please. I confused. I'm confused. I'm just not sure what to do. I want to do the right and responsible thing, first and foremost for my mom. And if that meant that we had to surrender Luna, I mean, I didn't like it, but I was willing to do it. And like I say, I was wrestling. I began to do some research and find some reputable rescues. And I landed on 2 that did reach out to me after I reached out to them. And so I started a rapport with 2 different rescues, and each of the ladies from each of the rescues was so very kind and so very nice, very understanding. And they let me know, you know what, we have they both told me that they have dealt with these kinds of situations many times. And so I felt that they understood, and like they had so much compassion for for me and for my situation. And so I was so glad that these two ladies, who their rescues had really good reviews from a lot of people, both of them. So at least I had that comfort. And so the weird thing was that every time I would get to the point with either one of them where, after the information they asked me for, after the copies of shots and other information and pictures, um, they both kind of ghosted me. I wouldn't hear anything else. And that happened a couple of times with both. And so I was wondering, what is up with this? What is going on? This is not easy to be able to have these conversations, and I really want the anguish to be over. I need to know what's going to happen. Are either of these rescues going to say yes? We will go ahead and take her. We'll take her, and we'll take good care of her, and we'll find a good home. But it would get just to that point, and then nothing. I heard nothing. So it was while I was in dog rescue limbo that my heart was the heaviest, because I thought, I can't keep doing this. I started to feel especially awful because I started to feel desperate. Like, uh, I'm just waiting for somebody to say, yes, we'll take Luna. And then it's like, okay, here, you can have her. Here. Who's going to say, yes, we'll take her first? Just somebody. I really despised that feeling. I did not like feeling that at all. And so I had to pray. And I cried out to God. And I said, Lord, I have been really trying to do what the right thing is. And I'm still not clear in my mind what that is. And so I need your help. And can you open that door that is the good, excuse me, good and pleasing thing in your sight that you want me to do? And so that also was the first time that I admitted out loud, Lord, if there is any way that I can keep Luna, I really want to. If I have missed you in all of this and it's okay for me to keep her, I really would like to. And can you please give me the reassurance of that and make a way so that I can keep her? And then I just ended it by reiterating, but Lord, your will be done. I will follow through with it, whatever it is, whatever door that you open, that's the door I'm going to walk through. So it was a step of faith, that prayer, but it was the first time I had really come to terms with admitting how much I loved Luna. I didn't want to give her up, but as I said, I was committed to do whatever I had to. Whatever the right thing was, I still wasn't sure what that was. It was about 2 days later that, on a lovely morning, seemingly out of the blue, because we were not talking about Luna at all, my husband just said, hun, I've been thinking, and the reason I have been on board for you to rehome Luna is because I've been concerned about you. I've been worried that taking her in, adopting her, has been too much work for you, and that you've been stressing out, and I know you've been worried about your mom. And so if you want to keep Luna, if you want to keep her, just know that I'm behind you all the way, and I'm all in to do that if you want to, because I love her too, and I think that you do too. He said, but it's your decision. And it was clear as day that moment. After he said that, I knew that God was answering my prayer. The clarity of thought that I had and clarity of direction was crystal clear. And all I could say to him was, thank you. Thank you for sharing this. Oh, thank you. Yes, I want to keep her. I want to keep her. And that was the exceedingly encouraging point of no return. There would be no looking back. And guess what? The very next day, one of the ladies from one of the rescues texted me and she said, "Hi, we can take Luna. When would you like to bring her in?" And I thought, wow, talk about perfect timing. God's timing is perfect. I texted her back and I said, "We are keeping Luna. We have found a way to keep mom safe and we are going to work things out. Luna is my baby and I'm keeping her." And she texted me back and she was thrilled for us. And she said, "I love to hear a happy ending." I truly believe that God orchestrated for her to come into our lives, but specifically to come into my life on the very day that marked that monumental end to one part of my life, to such a huge era of my life. And then that he used Luna's life to encourage me so much and make me to be excited and just looking forward to the next monumental season, the next new chapters of new kinds of productivity and blessing and resilience and joy and purpose. To me, her puppy life has been used by God to be a catalyst to tighten the bonds between us as a family. And I feel that the tests that we've had to go through have exposed areas where we've been tested about our individual resolve for various things and situations. I am so grateful if you are still listening to this story. Thanks for listening. And I want to ask you, what about you? What about you? Do you have a fur baby, a little pet, a little baby or babies that you love or you have a story about? I would love for you to share a picture of them in the comments. I also want to tell you that there is a song coming up that I'm going to sing with a montage of some pictures and video of Luna. And there's even a picture in there when I was playing around with AI and I told it to simulate a tattoo on my shoulder of Luna. And so yeah, I was having fun that day, and that's in there. It's gonna be a little cheesy to some of you probably, but you know, this song just came into my heart, and it's how I feel about this little baby who's sleeping right there. I think it has something to do also with the fact that my three sons are grown and they're wonderful and amazing, and I want them to spread their wings and fly and do those things that are the desires of their heart and their goals and all of that. Of course I do as a mom, but I miss them. And I do believe that that's that place in my heart that Luna fills. She just helps to fill that, because my kiddos used to want to always be with me, and I'm just going to leave it there because then I start getting choked up a little bit. I'm just grateful for this little doggy. But thank you again for listening to the story, for being here. The song's coming up. I'll see you in the next one. This little doggie is cute. This little doggie is my baby. This little doggie is special. This little doggie is an answer to my prayer. I didn't know how much I needed or wanted a little friend like you. You were a surprise. I opened up my eyes and then I knew I needed you. You need me too, for you are a little baby. Your little eyes, they tell me so. Thank you, little doggie, 'cause you are my friend. Now and forever, all the days the Lord gives to us. Now close your eyes and go to sleep, doggie. You ran so fast and you jumped and you played. Now it's time to sleep, little beautiful puppy. I will see you when you awake. Night, night, little baby. Night, night, little puppy. There is none as cute as you. Night, night, little baby. Night, night, little puppy. Please know that I love you.